Nowadays, people are so tribalistic and so fanatical about their favorite player that it doesn't just stop at bragging about their favorite player, but they feel like they also have to degrade their favorite player's supporting cast in order to make their guy stand out to an even greater extent.
All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day so far. So I wanted to react to this video from Johnny Arnett. This one's called The Victim of Revisionist History. And I'm wondering if he means victims, plural, but we'll find out. Unless it's literally about one individual. And in that case, I'm even more curious. But yeah, we do have to deal with a lot of this these days. How revisionist history, I mean, we deal with it in society, but if we're just talking basketball here, then we're dealing with it big time when it comes to the 80s and the 90s. Basically, because of the LeBron James camp, we're dealing with everything before LeBron James. They're constantly saying that the league was trash, you know? Now we even hear like Michael Jordan was the only guy who had talent back then. And it's insane slander is really what it is. It's insulting. And I think it's damaging to the sport in general. But whatever, that's literally what the revisionist history has been. And I'm just curious what other things Johnny has to say about this. Anyways, yeah, I don't want to intro too much because I'm not sure 100% what this is going to be about, so let's get into it. I'm going to link the original video down below in the description like I always do. If you haven't checked out Johnny's channel and his greatest intro of all time on all of YouTube, I highly suggest you do. I'll give you a little teaser here today. Johnny's channel's great. So yeah, the link's going to be down below if you want to check it out. Everybody else, please leave this video a like. It helps out a ton. Let's do this. I don't have to say it this time because I already said it. It's the best intro of all time. The best fadeaway of all time.
I've talked about this multiple times on the channel before, but what I think is the most annoying thing about modern basketball discourse is how people talk about the supporting casts of their favorite player. Nowadays, people are so tribalistic and so fanatical about their favorite player that it doesn't just stop at bragging about their favorite player, but they feel like they also have to degrade their favorite player's supporting cast in order to make their guy stand out to an even greater extent. Jordan fans do it, Kobe fans do it, and LeBron fans do it as well. Without question, one of the biggest victims of this, and possibly the biggest victim of them all, is the former NBA All-Star Kevin Love.
Let's go, Johnny. Let's do it. I've been shouting it from the rooftops for since I started this channel, and the comments that I read blow my mind about this topic, because I'm always trying to remind people before Kevin Love played with LeBron James, he was an MVP candidate. The guy was a nightly 20 and 15 guy. Like that, I think that was his averages in Minnesota. The guy was a monster. And he played his game in the post. He was one of the last real big men out there doing big man stuff. That's where he got all of his rebounds. That's where he got all of his points. And then, much like what happened to Chris Bosh, once he played with LeBron James, he had to go and become a wing shooter. When you're a wing shooter, you're not going to be getting much rebounds, and you can't play with power. All of a sudden, he had to learn how to be a three-point shooter. Terrible. So the same thing that happened to Bosh happened to Love, but Kevin Love was even better than Chris Bosh, by far in my mind. So the amount of disrespect that I hear when it's like, oh, the Cavs team had no help. No, they had a big three. They had three MVP level players with LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love on top of a bunch of other players. So that whole it wasn't fair against Golden State. No, it was fair. It was two monstrous teams going head to head, is what it was. Anyways, I'm sorry. Johnny, take it away, my friend.
Nowadays, if you suggest that the 2014 to 2015 Cleveland Cavaliers were an NBA super team, you'll quickly be ridiculed by a plethora of LeBron fans.
Happens to me all the time.
But let me tell you, back then, I was there.
Me too.
And when Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and Kevin Love all ended up on the same team, that felt like it was an emergence of yet another LeBron-led super team.
It was.
In hindsight, people are acting like Kevin Love was simply a role player and wasn't a legitimate star at the time he joined LeBron. And sure, I'm not going to deny the fact that he wasn't as good in Cleveland as he was in Minnesota.
Notice how he's just sitting there in the corner at the three-point line with Cleveland. I'm not crazy, you guys. I watched it all. I wouldn't have been saying it over and over again if I wasn't there witnessing it. But a lot of younger people who like LeBron, they weren't there watching the Minnesota Timberwolves. They had no idea how good this Kevin Love dude was.
But there was reasons for that.
Shooting threes.
Just like Chris Bosh before him, Kevin Love was joining a LeBron James-led team, and he was going from the number one scoring option to a third scoring option. And in a LeBron James-led offense, where he likes to orchestrate things as a ball-dominant floor general, guys like Chris Bosh and Kevin Love are often relegated to roles where they have to sit on the perimeter, which wasn't their style before joining LeBron James.
There it is. This is why I like Johnny's channel, by the way. He's legit, and he knows the game. He knows the game.
So many of LeBron's fans tend to be really young basketball fans, which makes sense considering the fact that he's still an active player in the NBA.
Yeah.
But because of that, I think a lot of the people who are rooting for LeBron are not usually familiar with Kevin Love in his prime.
They're definitely not.
Without mincing words, Love was an absolute beast in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
He really took off at the age of 22 in the 2010 to 2011 season, as he won the NBA's Most Improved Player award. And that year, he averaged over 20 points per game and put up a ridiculous league-leading average of 15.2 rebounds per game.
There it is. I was right on. I was dead on. I think I said 20 and 15, right? I'm pretty sure I did. I can't go back. This is all live. But I'm pretty sure I said 20 and 15, but that's always what I had in my head. He was a 20 and 15 guy, and he's shooting 47%. Oh, boy. Actually, I'm impressed he did that in 36 minutes, too. Props. Kevin Love was one of my favorite players at that time. I'm big into rebounds and defense. And, I'm watching this guy getting more rebounds than Dennis Rodman per game. And he's also putting up 20 points. So you got to understand, this catch, he caught my eye big time. Because it's like he's not just playing one end of the floor here. Like he's doing it all.
Consider the fact that since the turn of the millennium, no player other than Andre Drummond and Ben Wallace have ever averaged more rebounds per game in a single season than Kevin Love.
Yep.
That's how good of a rebounder he was. He was also 47% from the field and a stellar 41.7% from three-point range.
Jeez.
At such a young age, he was already in the conversation of the best power forward in the NBA.
Yo, easily.
He was the league's best rebounder, a top scorer, an incredible passer, and one of the best shooting big men that the game had to offer. The very next year was the 2011 to 2012 lockout shortened season. And that year, Love averaged 26 points, 13.3 rebounds, and 2 assists, while hitting 45% of his shots. He was so solid that season that he finished 6th overall in the MVP voting. He missed a significant amount of time the following season due to an injury, but the year after was the 2013 to 2014 season. At the age of 25, he averaged 26 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 4.4 assists, while making nearly 46% of his shots and 38% of his threes.
I can't wait to see the drop off when he goes to Cleveland and plays with LeBron. I can't wait. Let's do it.
Love was not only a great player, but he was legitimately viewed as one of the best players in the entire league.
He was by me.
And at one point was even an MVP candidate for an organization that usually doesn't win very much.
Oh man, dude, thank you, Johnny. God, I think the Kevin Love thing is the thing I've received the most hate, and you know what it's like to receive hate in your comment section. I've received the most hate about my words about Kevin Love. And it's so silly. Like in my rebuttals, I'm just like, just go look up his stats in Minnesota. Like before you leave me a hate comment, maybe just take 10 seconds, bust out your phone, and just type in Kevin Love, Minnesota stats. It's not that hard, man. It takes you less time than it takes to like put out that hate comment. Like just look it up. Look up the numbers. See for yourself. Then see if I'm wrong. If you disagree with me still, then talk. But yeah, this feels good. This is some redemption for me right now, man.
And then what some people try to do is they'll then try to discredit Kevin Love in Minnesota by making the point that he never even made the NBA playoffs before joining forces with LeBron James. But my point is the same thing can be said about Kyrie Irving, and we don't use that narrative against him. If you want to look at how good Kevin Love was in Minnesota, then consider his impact on the team before and after he was on the roster. In Love's final season with the Minnesota Timberwolves, where he put up about 26 points and 13 rebounds, they had a 40-42 record. And after he departed for Cleveland, Minnesota plummeted to a disgusting 16-66 record.
Wow.
LeBron James fans always like to bring up the fact of how good LeBron-led teams were when he was on the roster and how much they plummeted after he departed. But for some reason, that same logic doesn't apply to Kevin Love. It's almost as if it doesn't fit the agenda.
It doesn't.
Now listen,
It doesn't.
in no way is this video meant to come across as shade to LeBron James. Because every superstar...
Yeah, not LeBron James, but to his fans. Wake up. Wake up. Learn the history of the game. You guys talk a lot. You have a lot to say. But you don't do a lot of research. I'd appreciate it if you did a little more research and talk a little less. You learn that way. You know, if you listen more and you talk less, you learn stuff, you know?
needs to have some help in order to win a championship. That is something I have always understood. So I don't see this video as a way of belittling a superstar just because I'm making a claim that a guy had help. But really what I'm trying to do is remind people to stop disrespecting Kevin Love.
Yes, please.
At one point, the guy was one of the best players in the entire league, and anyone who was watching him closely in that time could back me up on that. And even in Cleveland, it wasn't like he was garbage. In the 2016 to 2017 season, he averaged about 19 points and 11 rebounds and was an NBA All-Star. And the following season, he averaged nearly 19 points and 9 rebounds and was an All-Star then as well. Again, he just didn't have the role and the opportunities to put up the numbers he once put up in Minnesota.
I forgot he was an All-Star in Cleveland still. So that's a 3 All-Star lineup, and you want to say it's not a big 3? You got 3 All-Stars in your starting lineup. You want to pretend like it's not a big 3 anyway.
Doesn't mean that they were fake.
Crazy.
And that doesn't mean that he was never the real deal. It just simply means that his individual abilities thrived in one situation more so than another.
Absolutely.
So what do you guys think? Who is a player who usually takes criticism due to revisionist history?
You're showing him right
I
now.
look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah, you're showing one right there with Chris Bosh. By the way, great video, Johnny. I absolutely love this one. And this went a whole different direction than what I was expecting, but I love the fact that you just boom, you popped out Kevin Love right there. That made my year, bro. But no, Chris Bosh is definitely one of them. Because when he was in Toronto, the guy was an absolute freak of nature out there. He was crushing it. But you know, same story. Not a very good team, but he was an absolute star out there. But same thing. He was a big man. He played a big man game, so you need him in the post and in the block, and that's where he's going to do his work. But he teamed up with LeBron in Miami, and he was stuck in the corner. Same exact spot that Kevin Love is stuck in when he played with LeBron. Right there in the corner by the baseline. And just chuck threes. So how do you expect a guy to get rebounds when he's out there? You know, how do you expect him to make a big impact down low and utilize his size and his strength if he's stretched way out there in the wing, so far away from the basket? I don't understand it. Who else? Oof. I'm sure there's so many. Lamar Odom, off the top of my head, was a really good one. Anthony Davis is going to be a victim of revisionist history because even though he's been, in my opinion, the best Laker since he's been there, and still to this day, he's still doing it this season. He's gotten zero credit. All the credit's gone to LeBron. Who else? Penny Hardaway gets a lot of disrespect. I've gotten a lot of hate comments about Penny whenever I talk about him. People think I'm exaggerating how good he was in Orlando, but everyone just remembers Shaq in Orlando, and a lot of people don't even remember how good Shaq was in Orlando because he had all of his success after that in Los Angeles. But I still think Orlando Shaq was the best Shaq I've ever seen because the dude was still like trim and light, and he, you could tell he was practicing a lot more. So his dribbling skills, his passing skills, like everything was just like top tier at that point, and he just started getting bigger. But anyways, I was supposed to be talking about Penny Hardaway. He was already like within 1 year in the league, he was like top 5 in the league. And just because he got injured and he fell off, after his injury, people like to pretend like he was nothing special. No, he was special. Just like Grant Hill was really special, and T-Mac was really special. But a lot of people forget. Anyways, I'm going to leave it off with that. It's kind of hard when I'm on the spot to think of these things sometimes. So let me know in the comments below. Who do you think is somebody else who's been a major victim revisionist history? I'd really like to know. All right, everybody. Johnny, great video. Like the video if you liked, if you enjoyed this. Subscribe to the channel if you want more. Check out Johnny's channel. Link is down below. Peace out, everybody. I really appreciate y'all. I'll talk to you in the comments, all right? Peace out.